Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. Story number 1. A Worthy Battle, written by Retinal97. One moment of weakness, and it was over. John was dead, killed by a gunshot to his head. 1 moment later, he stood before a giant, double-winged door. Behind 2 very ornate pieces of carved wood that he could faintly hear the sounds of talk and song. With nothing else to do and nowhere else to go, he pushed the door open, which took surprisingly little force. Once John was through the door, he stood in the great hall lined by massive pillars carrying an arched wooden ceiling. And before him was the sight of a great feast. Tables stood row on row, loaded with more food and drink than their occupants could ever consume, framed by musicians playing on ancient-looking drums, flutes, and string instruments John had never seen before. And in the middle of it all, on the end of the biggest table, in a robust yet finely carved chair, sat an old man with a shining white beard, an eye cap, and a friendly face. He pointed to a seat opposite of him and said, "Welcome to Valhalla, brave warrior. Come, sit and tell of the great and worthy battles you have fought, and you can eat and drink to your heart's content." John sat down on the free chair, the horn in front of him already filled with mead and a big piece of roasted meat with some vegetables on his plate. John thought for a moment before he answered, "I've been in many battles, Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan. Those were fought with modern technology, guns, tanks, and planes. Back then, I truly believed it to be a necessary fight for a worthy cause. But seeing how it turned out when we left again, I'm not so sure anymore. But still, I fought for my country, my friends, my family, my wife and daughters. And I would do it again." The old man, or as John assumed, Odin, let out a hearty laugh. "You truly have a warrior's spirit in you. So tell me of the final worthy battle in which you laid down your life so you could join us here in Valhalla." John hesitated for a second. I didn't." The entire hall went quiet in that moment. After a few seconds, Odin broke the silence. "Impossible! Only true warriors that died in worthy battle against the great and powerful foe can enter this realm. Are you trying to tell me that you are still alive?" "No, I did die, but I wasn't in a battle. Not really, at least," answered John. Maybe some part of me did, but after so many years of fighting, I came home again. But the war changed me. PTSD, the doctors called it. I couldn't sleep, started drinking." He pushed the horn away from himself, only to find a new one in front of him, this time filled with clear and fresh water. "But the worst part is that I was quick to anger. The smallest things could set me off. An accidental bump by a stranger on the street, a long line on a register, or just a piece of trash someone hadn't put in the trash can. And I let it out on anyone around me. At first, only strangers. Later, my wife. I never raised my hand against her, but I did raise my voice. I still wonder how she managed to stay with me during all that. But one day, I took it too far. I raised my voice again, but not against my wife this time, but my daughter. I'll never forgive myself for that. It was that day that my wife forced me to sign the divorce papers. I don't blame her. In fact, I would blame her if she didn't. But now, I was alone. I went to therapy, and after I got a bit better, I was even allowed to visit my wife and daughter again, even if it was only on the weekends. But my life was hard, and every bit of sunshine was welcome. But then, one day, a policeman stood in my front door, and he had some better news for me. My wife and daughter, the only two people I truly loved, were killed in a car accident by a drunk driver. In that moment, I felt nothing. No sorrow over their loss, no sadness for being alone again, not even anger towards that drunk. I felt empty. I walked into the bedroom like I had done nearly every day before. I opened the box below my bed like I did on nearly every day before. I pulled out my old pistol and held it against my head like I did on nearly every day before. But, unlike all the days before, this time I pulled the trigger. So no, I didn't die in some glorious battle. I died in my bed, weak and alone, and by my own hand. I'm no warrior. I'm a coward. I don't deserve to be here. Once again, the hall was quiet, and again it was Odin who broke the silence, not as loud as before, and without any humor in his voice. He spoke with a soft and caring voice. That is where you are wrong. What you experienced would have broken many other far sooner, where you see only the moment you gave up. I see all the moments before, where you chose to resist, to fight against one of the most powerful enemies humans have ever had to face. Their own mind. You fought for years, and you only broke when there was nothing left to win, nothing left to fight for. There are many proud and strong warriors amongst us today, but you are one of the strongest here. So come, eat, drink, for Ragnarok is close, and we could use a warrior as strong as you. End of story. If you are suffering from suicidal thoughts and depression, there are links down below that can help you. Story number 2. Call of the Void, written by a glass of whiskey. Do you aliens have the concept of Call of the Void? The human had been an endless source of questions ever since they'd first set foot aboard the ship. For the last time, my name is Alan. I'm a Dragatic. Why keep referring to me as aliens? I don't know, sounds cooler. Alan is such a boring name. So you keep telling me. Fine. No, I don't know what the concept entails. Please tell me. He knew that he was going to tell him anyway, with or without his acknowledgement. Often his craziest stories started similar. Hopefully it wouldn't be as bad as that time he tried to explain Slock movies. It's, when you stare over the edge of a cliff or something, and then you know, the human looked at him with a knowing look. No, I don't. That was supposedly the point. He often wondered if the human ever thought through anything he said. No, was his currently best supported theory. Well, you got a voice in the back of your head telling you just to, take the step. See what'll happen. He'd always suspected the human was mad, but to come right out and say it, no, you really don't. Non-suicidal people, at least, don't. Oh, come on. Not suicidal. Although his every action surely suggested otherwise. It's just, a thought, yes. And so is suicide. Would you like to talk to a therapeutic AI, perhaps? He had often made the suggestion to his compatriot. Still had hoped that it would do it someday. Shh, silly old thing, doesn't know anything about humans. Or perhaps about this specific mad human. But he kept that thought to himself. So you are telling me that every member of your species is suicidal by nature, from birth? No, yes, well, a bit, he said with a thoughtful look on his face. It almost looked as if he was thinking it over, as unreasonable as that was. A bit. Well then, I see. He really didn't. Some of him still hoped that his life was just a fever dream. It would make all of this make sense. All right, like with the practical example then. Say if I hit this button here, what would happen? He looked at the big red button the human was gesturing at and, no. That was the one that emptied the ship of atmosphere in case of fire. It was supposedly safe for both of them since they was immediately flushed the ship with a new one, and the whole thing would take about 10 seconds. Supposedly. No, come on, it's perfectly safe, the mad human said, as he started to move his finger forward. That, and the screaming sound of his own voice, was the last thing he remembered before waking up again. Apparently, he had momentarily blacked out since he was laying on the floor right in front of the idiot. "I'm gonna kill you, I swear," he said in a tired, weak voice. "Whoa, what a rush! It seems the system does work after all, though. Did you say something?" A simple look at the creature that continued to bring him so much misery told him that his squares were for nothing. Something that voluntarily does that to itself out of curiosity is clearly immortal. End of story. This is a special thank you to the one, the only, the legendary Eric Hino, who has become the only Tier 6 patron. Just a quick shout out to the T5 peeps: Bob the Dragon, Cat Crab Lobster, Data Magnet, Dark Machine, Try Again 95, Fudic Yol, Astrea the Dreamer, Caspar Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Athelia, Meridian 117, and Jordan Bucksmorm. Thank you very much. And that, my friends, concludes this video. I hope that you enjoyed. There are links down below, both to support this channel and for the author of this fiction. Anyways, I hope you all have a fantastic one, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.